So I'm horrible at handling horror games, but I really love crafting survival games. And the team at Perfect Garbage made a game that perfectly combines horror and crafting simulation with their upcoming game Grave Seasons. Fun fact, this is being published by Bloomhouse Games. Grave Seasons is, at first glance, a farming sim RPG game where you find yourself taking over a farm your family member left to you when they passed. Your character has just moved into Ashen Ridge, a small little town with quite friendly people. Everything seems to be going well, with you tending to your farm and selling crops, but then you realize someone you know in town is a mass murderer, slowly killing off the population of Ashen Ridge. In the demo I got to play at SGF, I got to experience a streamlined version of the first few moments of the story. So I wasn't able to fully customize my character in the demo, but I was assured that I would be able to custom make my character to look like myself or whoever when the full game launches. Upon entering the game, I walked around and harvested crops, planted more corn, cleaned up the garbage left on my property, and was crafting different food dishes. Then I stumbled across a severed human hand hiding amongst my cabbages. I had met two townspeople before and they were hanging out around my farm, so I decided to go and ask them if they knew of anything about this hand I found. Of course, naturally, they were horrified, but also not entirely shocked, as they told me there had been some odd things happening in town and told me about a few disappearances that occurred recently. So as I went along to continue cultivating my land and selling my products, night quickly fell and I was alerted to something bad happening that evening. I was transported to a dark forest where I saw one of the townsfolk shaking in fear before a horrible eldritch monster snatched her away and tore her apart. The demo ended with me running away from the scene while also snatching up environmental clues as to what that creature was. The Perfect Garbage lead programmer explained to me that each run of Grave Seasons would feature a new killer. Essentially, you'd meet all the same townspeople in each playthrough, but who the killer is will change each time, ensuring replayability if you wanted to play the story again. What I found most interesting about Grave Seasons is that you can choose whether or not you want to even get involved in the murder investigations with Ashen Ridge, and you can choose to just not help your neighbors and just keep tending to your farm. So you could, in theory, keep planting corn, harvest honey, and crafting new dishes to sell, but you'll still be shown the next gruesome murder that occurs that night that you could have preferred. So it kind of guilt trips you, but you can still choose to not participate. However, if you do choose to be that helpful neighbor, you can actually plant and farm resources that would help you protect your townspeople and prevent them from being murdered. A lot of preparing to save the next victim will involve you having to talk to people in town to gather context clues on who might be next on the chopping block, while also attempting to use these clues to figure out who exactly the killer is. You can gift items you craft or harvest to your neighbors, and this can grow your relationship with them and allow you to give them helpful items that may end up saving their lives. But again, the fun part of this is that it's all technically optional. You can make Grave Seasons to be whatever you want it to be, as long as you understand that there are some grave consequences, yes, pun intended, to your actions. I'm not usually a fan of horror games, but Grave Seasons really piqued my interest with its unique mechanics and engaging story beats. All of the NPCs have their own distinctive personalities that you have to catch onto and understand, and the artwork for each character is incredible. Not to mention that the overall game art direction is adorable, vibrant, and honestly just lovely to look at. The only negative I had about the game was that there's no release date currently for Grave Seasons, but it is available to wishlist currently on Steam. Hopefully, as the Steam page says, it's actually coming soon, but even if it's a ways down the line, this is one game I'll definitely be playing as soon as it launches. Grave Seasons is definitely one of my standouts of SGF. Are you going to be interested in playing this? Do you think if you do play this, are you going to help your neighbors or are you just going to keep cultivating your plants? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.